Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 67 of Pantry to Plate. I am Kristen, the Food Bank Dietitian, and we are here in the Kaiser Permanente Learning Kitchen at the Atlanta Community Food Bank. We have our special guest friend here today, Chef Rochelle, or you can call her the Veegan Vixin.
The Veegan Vixin. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for being here. You just emailed me and you said, hey, let's work together, right?
Yes, absolutely. Just wanted to know how I could fit in. And so here we are doing some vegan stuff.
We are here. So today we're going to talk about the produce that you maybe forgot about in the drawer, in your fridge, or maybe got pushed back to the back a little bit. Don't toss it out. We're going to be making
I'm sorry.
You're good.
Yeah. So we're going to be making a pasta sauce with those veggies that you forgot about. So of course, if they're completely dead, we get it. But if you have some bruises or maybe some soft spots you might be concerned about that you can cut away, then we're going to utilize the rest of that food because we are trying to cut down on food waste.
Absolutely.
Food is already expensive. We don't need to be throwing everything out. So we are here to show you what we can do to make this delicious sauce. It can be frozen when you're done with it if you have a lot that you've already made. And it can go on anything. You can put it on pasta. You can use it as a sauce for pizza if you have like a pizza night. So it's very versatile and you can do just about anything with it.
Perfect. So I'm calling it clean out the fridge sauce.
Yes.
This is something that I personally do at home. And I think I got the idea from you when we were planning our content. So you're like, this is what I do when everything needs to go somewhere, not the trash.
Right. Exactly. And you'll find that the kids love it. Get the kids involved. Have them chop up all these old veggies. Show them how they can preserve what is needed as well to make sure that you continue to have a healthy household and stay within that budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So show us what we're doing here today.
Okay, so let's get started. So we have some bell peppers, we have some red onion, tomato, as well as some squash. Okay, so you can use just about any veggies that you have. I do try to stay away from things like, kale or collards because sometimes those flavor profiles are a little too strong and they'll cancel out all of the great flavor that your veggies already have. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna demonstrate a couple of ways to cut up some of these veggies so that you have less waste as well. And the one thing I want to talk about really quick is that when you have the portions that you want to throw in the trash, throw them in a bag, put them in a freezer bag, throw them in your freezer because later you can actually make stock. And now that we're going into our winter months, what better way to have something to make your soups with is to have that stock already available, okay? Exactly. All right, so let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, great.
We're gonna talk about tomatoes first. So I will put tomatoes in my sauce if I have them around the house. I'm not a big tomato person. Tomatoes do have a component called lectin that is in the skin as well as the seeds. So I've already started with this tomato to concasse. That's a really big word to digest, but pretty much what that means is to take away the skin and the seeds. So I scored the bottom portion of the tomato, drop it in some boiling hot water, 2 seconds, 3 seconds the most, take it out, and then the skin actually just starts to peel off for you. Very simple. So I'm gonna take a knife and we're gonna cut that in half. And if you can see on the inside, the seeds, there we go. So the seeds are gonna be right here in this area of your tomato. So I am going to just cut around that area very carefully with a paring knife because a paring knife is gonna make your life a lot easier. And then what we're gonna do, if you can see here, is we're just gonna scoop that portion out, and that's what you're left with. Absolutely nothing. Okay, so those are gonna be our tomatoes. And one thing I'd like to talk about with tomatoes as well is they produce a lot of water. So if you don't want your sauce to be watery, the best thing to do is take all of those pieces out so you don't have to worry about having that water in your sauce. All right, so our next lesson is going to be our peppers. So we're going to learn how to cut these so you don't have a lot of waste as well. So we're going to cut the bottom portion off, just like that. We are going to cut the top portion off, just like that. What we have left over is this guy. So we're going to use that to roast as well as the bottom portion. Now, in the middle of the pepper, there are membranes. So we're going to cut around that membrane, and the seeds are going to stay intact, because I don't know about you guys, but when I'm cutting peppers up, the seeds always get in the way. They're unattractive. They like flower out almost, and they're unattractive, and we don't need them. Okay, so we're going to cut our pepper and make just a small slit down the middle, just like that. And then we're going to go around where we have that membrane. And I'm going to show you guys this once I'm done.
I love that unrolling.
Yes.
The unrolling of the pepper around your knife.
And you can see that there's literally no waste. All right. So this is what we're left with. This is a waxy side of the pepper. Do not cut on that side. You will injure yourself. You always want to cut on the fleshy side. And this is what we took out. Now, fun fact, take this, throw it under some soil. You'll have 100,000 peppers that will grow in like 2 days.
So then if you got a bunch of those sprouts, you could just thin them out, right? Mm-hmm. So you have one left.
Yep.
Or if you as you're thinning out the extra plants, if it comes out with a root, just stick it next door, and then you have another.
There you go. Propagate all those wonderful, delicious peppers. So we've cut these, and this is about the size that you need. You don't need anything really small, because if you make it smaller, it's going to roast a little bit too fast and it might overcook. Okay. So next is going to be our onion. So we're just going to make some slices down the middle, maybe 3, because we want chunks as well. And this is about the size that we're looking at, if you can see that. And again, this is all we're going to roast onto a baking sheet. All right, so those are our onions. And now we're going to head over to our squash that we had left over. We bought that squash. We thought we were going to do something delicious with it. And we neglected the squash because we have kids and family, and we just didn't get to it. So this squash is going into our beautiful sauce.
Right.
Thank you. All right. So the other thing I'd like to talk about is what we're going to cook these veggies in after we take them out of the oven. So we have our oven at 350, which is a great temperature. 350 pretty much works for anything that you're cooking. We're going to put our veggies on a baking sheet, drizzle with some olive oil, add a little salt and pepper, and we're going to add some basil to it to roast. We also have a pot that's already on the stove that has some water along with a little bit of bouillon, which you can find at the grocery store. It's not super expensive. It comes in little tiny cubes. Throw that in, let it sit for a couple of minutes. And I have about a half a cup of water, not a lot of water, because once we're done with our veggies, it's going to absorb all of that water and flavor. Okay. We also have some fresh rosemary, as you can see.
That's this guy.
Yeah. So I've already taken everything off of the stem, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw that in our pot while we're waiting for our veggies to cook. And again, that's our pot of a half a cup of water with a little bit of a veggie bouillon. All right, so now moving right along, we have all of our veggies cut up. We have our olive oil, and we're going to drizzle just a little bit of this olive oil onto our baking sheet. We don't need a lot, just a little drizzle. And then we're going to take all of our beautiful veggies and we're going to put those on the baking sheet. I'm going to move this way so that you guys can actually see what I have going on here. All right, so all of our veggies on the baking sheet. And I just like to massage them a little, get all of that olive oil going. Then we're going to just sprinkle a little bit of salt. We don't need a lot, because most veggie bouillon has a lot of sodium in it. So you want to cut back on the salt when you're seasoning your veggies. We're going to add a little bit of pepper. And if you have some garlic cloves at home, definitely throw those guys in. If you don't, garlic powder, not salt, garlic powder will work. So we're just going to add a little bit of that. And for measurements, I do have the recipe that Kristen will present to you guys, and it'll have the perfect amounts that you need, so you don't have to try to guess. That's never any fun. We also have some fresh basil, so we're just going to sprinkle this basil on top of our veggies, and all of that is going to cook down. Have your oven ready, 350 degrees again, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to add a little bit more olive oil to that.
It's also just really necessary to get it. First of all, not all nutrients can be absorbed unless there is a fat present.
Yep.
So we want to make sure we can absorb all of those fat soluble vitamins. And then it helps for you to get the brownie.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Flavor.
And that's all the flavor. So when you get that browning, that's where all your flavor's coming from. And I also like to scrape the bottom of the pan once it's taken out, because that, again, is where all of your really good flavor comes from all of your veggies. So we have our oven prepared. I'm going to pop this in.
Perfect. I got it.
Perfect. And 10 to 15 minutes is really all you need. You can take a knife or a fork. You can stick a couple of the veggies after 10 minutes. See if it's where you want it. Because once they're done in the oven, we're going to put them in the pot. We're going to allow that to cook just a little bit longer, maybe 5 minutes. And then we're going to use a stick blender, also called an immersion blender, which I will show you guys soon, to get all of that incorporated for our sauce for our pasta.
Are we ready for the first one?
We should be.
Okay. I don't think we timed it, actually. How's this look to you?
It looks good.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
All right. So we kind of got a little bit ahead of ourselves, and we wanted to go ahead and prep these veggies so that you guys could see, and I wish you could be here to smell it. It smells fabulous. So we have our veggies all roasted. They look amazing. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put them into our stock so that they can cook for about 5 more minutes. And then after that, we'll go ahead and blend everything together for our lovely sauce. And what you will find, which a lot of people just really aren't that aware of, is that vegetables do have their own flavor. They absolutely do. So whenever you have all of these veggies together, seasonings usually are not necessary unless you're just using salt and pepper, because these veggies have a flavor of their own. Each one has that unique flavor. And once you have your sauce made, you will absolutely see that. So I'm going to grab an oven mitt.
Yeah.
So that we can get all of these into this pot.
And so remember, friends, this is half of the veggies that we pulled out of the fridge, right?
Yes.
So the other half is on the other tray.
Yes.
So it is going to make a nice, decent sized batch of sauce.
Absolutely.
And the best part about it is that you can stick it in the freezer for when you need sauce.
Yes. And also, let's talk about how economical it is, because you don't need a lot. And even when you're at the grocery store, you know, sometimes you'll find veggies that look like they're on their last leg. See if you can make a deal with those guys at the store and say, hey, if I could get these, what could you do for me?
Like, I know you're going to put this one in the discount
Right.
section at the end of the day.
Exactly. All right, so we have everything in our pot. We're going to put this pot back on the stove, and I'm going to cover it so that all the steam actually continues to allow these veggies to cook. And we're just going to let that simmer, and then we'll finish our sauce. So let me get a top to put on the pot. All right. And so let's talk about pasta. Pasta, very fun to make, very easy to make. 3 ingredients for pasta, and you can also make pasta at home and freeze it. A lot of people think that they need to have a fancy pasta machine, but you don't. Get your kids involved. Get family involved. Once you have the pasta rolled out and flattened on your countertop, take a knife, cut it. You can put it in water immediately, or you can actually just fold it on itself, put it in a freezer bag, and that's one more thing that you have in the freezer. Because us moms who are busy, when we get home from work, we don't have a lot of time to make a nutritious meal, and a meal that is going to be, you know, quick and easy. So if you already have those things prepped, that just makes your life a lot easier. So hopefully this will help you guys along the way.
Yeah, so we were talking about making fresh pasta. Some people think you have to have special equipment, but it does help if you do have those things.
It does.
Like a roller to help get it super thin.
Yes.
So what are those 3 ingredients that are in pasta?
So the 3 ingredients that are in pasta, I like to use a salmonella sauce. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Semolina.
Thank you. Semolina flour, because it actually holds up better. If you have temperature issues in your house, like if it's humid in your house, or if it's super cold in your house, a lot of times making the pasta can be a little challenging, and we find that that flour takes out that challenge for you. Water is your second ingredient, and egg. If you are not an egg person, what you can use is flaxseed meal, because that actually acts as a binder just like an egg does. And if you're that person like me that doesn't do any dairy or meat, that's going to be your go-to.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have watched so many videos on making fresh pasta, and I've never stepped into the realm of doing it. I will one day do it.
Yeah.
So you're just inspiring me to try and do it again. It's always just hanging out in the back of my head.
Yeah. And what I find with the whole pasta making thing, a lot of people feel the way you do, right? They're like, oh, I've never made pasta. Get some friends over. You know, buy some wine, have a fun Friday night making pasta.
There you go.
Yeah.
And you could make a large amount if you've got friends, and then you can split it up.
Yeah.
And you can share it, have a little shared experience that you're not necessarily spending money on, and then you all get to take home food at the end.
Right. And it's a conversation piece. So there you go. Yeah.
You're like, I made this pasta.
Yes. Which makes it more fun to eat, right? When we make our own things, it makes it so much more fun to eat.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. So I'm going to check on these veggies because I feel that we might be there.
We got a good boil going on. I can hear it.
And again, it smells so amazing. Now, let's talk about why we actually added that liquid, because the stock is very important at the end, mainly because if you don't have enough liquid, then your sauce will just be lumps, right?
Yes.
Now, that's the other thing. So if we're making this sauce where there's absolutely no lumps, it's nice and smooth, some people like to have that texture in their sauce. Whatever you've roasted already, you can always reserve some on the side, maybe chop it up a little smaller, and that can be a garnish on top of your sauce.
There you go.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That is very familiar to me. I grew up, my mom always chose like the garden sauce that had little chunks of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A little bit of zucchini, maybe a little bit of carrots in there.
Yeah.
And so we were all like, that one's healthier. Because it had a little bit more veggies in it. So this is going to be similar to that.
It's going to be similar,
like
but definitely better because it's not coming out of a jar that has preservatives to give it a longer shelf life. So we have that component as well. So as you guys can see, there's so many different components that makes this dish so healthy and so fun. And I promise you, your kids will absolutely love it, even the ones who are absolutely opposed to veggies. And if they see the veggies, don't show them in the beginning, just show them at the end.
You're like, it's spaghetti.
It's spaghetti. Who doesn't love spaghetti? All right, so I think that our veggies are where they need to be. And that blender that I was talking to you guys about, this is an immersion blender. This is great for sauces. You can do so much with this. And this is a staple in my house because we use it for so much. So if you can see in the pot, we have our veggies. We're going to take our blender into the pot. There is a button that turns it on, and you want to have this all the way down where the veggies are. And then you just start to pulse as if you would if you were using like your stand-up blender. Now, the other thing I'd like to talk about, this is not going to be a traditional red sauce because we have all of these beautiful colors in here. So a lot of times this sauce will turn out more yellowish, more orange. It just depends on what veggies you use the most and what color they are. Yeah. So your kids might say, that's not spaghetti sauce because it's not red.
Just toss some tomato sauce in it. If you don't have any like fresh tomatoes, you can just take one of those cans of tomato sauce, and it'll give you the red color that you're looking for, and help you use up one of those staple items that you got in your house.
Absolutely. Or even if you just have a can of diced tomatoes, you can absolutely use those as well. Any can tomato product.
Any of them.
That is red. We'll definitely definitely work.
It will do the trick.
All right, so this is coming together really well. I would say this will take you probably about 5 to 10 minutes just to make sure everything's incorporated.
And then if you don't have an immersion blender, sometimes I call it a stick blender. You can transfer this to a regular blender.
Absolutely.
But just make sure that you give it a good vent on the top because it's hot.
Yes.
So you can let the steam out while you are blending it all up.
Yeah, because if you don't, the result will be an explosion in your kitchen of all of that hot stuff. All right, so I think we're there. Now, Kristen, do you want to get a spoon so that you can try it?
Absolutely.
All right.
Great. Grab a couple tasting spoons. For you.
That there.
Perfect.
Perfect. All right.
All right.
It's delicious. So good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just tastes fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I do this all the time at
Mhm.
home since we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I tend to add in there that ends up staying in my fridge for a while is eggplant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We get a lot of questions about eggplant. So if you get one and you don't know what to do with it and you think it's kind of past its prime, this is a great place for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The only thing I suggest with the eggplant is definitely take the skin off first because that skin can be very, very tough. But the flesh inside is amazing. And it's definitely great when you roast because it just kind of blooms with flavor. And the texture is great too because eggplants are like a sponge. So they absorb every flavor that you add to them.
Yes.
Now, I will say I did not use a lot of salt, but definitely salt and pepper to taste. Yes. Once you have your sauce, because I'm feeling like this needs just a little bit more salt, maybe. Sometimes I will add some red pepper flakes because that gives it a little bit of a burst of flavor as well.
Yes,
to help.
especially if you love a good bit of spice in
Yes,
there.
absolutely, absolutely. And something else that I've also tried adding because I do have a poblano plant at home, so I've roasted the poblano to give it a smoky flavor.
Yum.
Yes. So we're going to
So
plate
good.
some of this up. We already have some pasta ready so that you guys can see how amazing this looks.
So are you team mix the noodles and the sauce
Nope.
together?
Absolutely not.
You are separate.
Yes,
okay.
and I'm only separate for presentation because that's what's always stuck in my head.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
to present the proper way and mixing it all together. You can't see what's happening. So we're going to take a little bit of this pasta, put it in our bowl.
And so any shaped pasta will work here.
Any shaped
They
pasta.
are the same.
Any shaped pasta. Yeah. Pasta is pasta is pasta. And get fun with it because kids love shapes. So, you know, you can get a fun fusilli, which is like a spiral pasta, or maybe some bow tie. Bow ties are always fun for kids. And bow ties come in little teeny ones now that are super cute. So you definitely could do that. All right. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of this sauce on here. And then we are going to garnish with just a sprig of rosemary for color.
Beautiful. Let's do this actually.
Wow.
Put our little formal place setting happening.
There we have
So
it.
there's your clean out the fridge sauce.
Yes.
Just a couple tomatoes in there.
Yep.
So just remember, if it's not red enough to inspire your household to enjoy it, then add whatever canned tomato product you might have.
Absolutely, yeah. And there you have it. There's no bad things in here. There are no preservatives. Everything in here is delicious and good for you. And you get your amount of veggies that you need in a day.
There you go.
Yeah. So this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Kristen.
And you can see how quickly a meal can come together when you are just poking through your fridge and checking on what needs to be.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's what I always recommend is if you can do that before you go shopping, before you visit the food pantry, then you can kind of build a menu based on what you've already got and then fill in the gaps when you go to the pantry and to the grocery store.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you can keep up with Chef Rochelle. I'm like, did I say your name at the beginning? I think I did. Because Chef Rochelle. Okay. So you can follow Chef Rochelle, the Veegan Vixin, on Instagram. And so what kinds of stuff do you post on there?
So I am a very busy chef. So I do a lot of events around Atlanta. I also just started a supper club that I do twice a month downtown near the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yep.
So those are the things that I'm constantly posting. Also, when I'm doing demos and classes, a lot of times I will do videos during a class. So that's something else that I offer. And I definitely offer classes for children because I'm always so inspired by young minds, because they're going to grow and help us in the end, and we need them to know the proper things to do.
And when you start them earlier and you include them in the process, they are more likely to try things that they might not just be open to.
Yes.
When you just serve it to them.
Yes. Yes. It's all about learning and educating and knowing more about what they're going to be eating. So yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can follow her on Instagram, and then you can find this amazing recipe that we just worked through at the link at the bottom of the screen, or you can scan, this QR code with your phone camera to take you directly there. So it is, I always forget which way to go. It's the same link here with the QR code, or you can type it into your address bar and you'll find that recipe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here.
This was so much fun. Yes.
So make sure you follow the Veegan Vixin so you can keep up with all of her classes.
Yes. And I also want to let you guys know, if you ever have any questions, any food questions, any food service questions, hit me up, drop a DM in my IG. I don't care about you falling into my DMs. I'm good with it. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much.
See you in 2 weeks for another episode of Pantry.